Humans of the cardboard. Centurions have been revealed. They actually got revealed a couple days ago. I'm catching up on all things Yu-Gi-Oh! News from the last week while I was gone. A lot of really cool stuff. I've done everything else. This is the final thing I need to cover until we are caught up. Really hype. This was the one archetype, just based off the artwork and the description of the archetypes, that I was the most excited about out of all of them. I really thought this archetype seems really cool, just based on what it was. And honestly, reading over it, I didn't think it disappointed that much. I thought it actually was pretty good. But let's get into it. We'll talk about more where I think it is and what I want to see from the final card, plus, support down the line at the end. But let's get into it. So starting off first, we start with Centurion Primera. Is a level 4 light spellcaster tuner, 16/16 for the stats. That's pretty interesting. Isn't there something in the game that literally... isn't there something recently that came out? Is it the new Albion that has synergy with, like, any monster... any spellcaster that has the exact same attack and defense? Let me know if I'm wrong on that, but I think there's a monster. I think recently that came out. Whatever. You can only use the first and third effect of this card's name once per turn. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can add a Centurion card from your deck to your hand, except Centurion Primera. But you cannot special summon Primera for the rest of this turn. So you can only do that once per turn. That is important because you'll see with her later effect that that's definitely a necessary restriction. Your level 5 or higher Centurion monsters cannot be destroyed by card effects while this card is treated as a continuous trap. It's another little bonus, just getting protection while it's in the spell and trap zone. And during the main phase, while this card is treated as a continuous trap, you can special summon it. You will see that this archetype is all about placing their monsters into the spell and trap zone as continuous traps, sort of like Crystal Beasts. But the big difference is these cards count as continuous traps, not as continuous spells. So a lot of these cards can just summon themselves on the opponent's turn, which is this. Even though this doesn't say quick effect, because it's treated as a continuous trap, it is by default a trap now. And all traps are quick effects, essentially, in terms of when they can activate. So this is a quick effect to summon itself on the opponent's turn. So you could summon it on your turn, get a search, get it placed into the spell and trap zone, summon it on the opponent's turn, get another search. Very cool. You'll see that's kind of the baseline of this deck. Is it's a slower, grindier deck that wants to stockpile resources turn after turn. It doesn't set up a million interruptions, but it is a resource-oriented deck. And I think it seems like it has some good legs so far, but that is definitely the centerpiece of it, Primera. Next up, we move to the next card, Centurion Trudea. She's cool. She's like definitely more waifu-y than her. I don't know. Whatever. Maybe they're both waifu-y. Whatever. Okay, level 4 Dark Pyro. I guess that's technically a bonfire target. 1,000 attack, 2,000 defense. You can only use the first and second effects of this card once per turn. During your main phase, you can place this card you control and one Centurion monster from your hand or deck, except for Trudea, face up in your spell and trap zone as a continuous trap. But you cannot special summon Trudea for the rest of this turn. So, of course, another restriction there. I like this a lot. Not only does this card place itself into your spell and trap zone to summon again on the opponent's turn, but also it gets Primera into the spell and trap zone. So that actually as well makes this a 1-card starter, right? Normal summon this, place her and Primera into the spell and trap zone. Primera can summon herself right there and get a search for another card. And you have Trudea now ready to summon on the opponent's turn because the second effect is the same as the other card. During the main phase, while this card is treated as a continuous trap, special summon it, then you can increase it by 4. You can't summon it again that turn, but it goes to spell and trap zone, and while it's a trap, it can now summon on the opponent's turn as a quick effect, and it gets increased by 4 if you want. So you could actually be an 8 and a 4, and you'll see the deck is able to synchro on the opponent's turn for a 12 or an 8 pretty easily. Very cool. Really like the way this is designed. By the way, this also can't be ashed, so that's very nice here. This card can be ashed, but this card getting ashed is not the end of the world, because if you just have any extender that kind of like gets it put in the spell and trap zone, you're fine. So yeah, really cool. The last main deck monster we have here is Centurion Emmet 6. This is a level 8 Earth Machine, 2,000 attack, 3,000 defense, 2 hard ones per turn effects. The first one reads, during your opponent's turn, if this card is in hand or grave, target a Centurion monster you control except for itself. Place it in your spell and trap zone as a continuous trap, and if you do, special summon this card. Second effect, during the main phase, if this card is treated as a continuous trap, you can special summon it. Love it. This card's cool. It's a nice extender for the deck. My one worry about this card specifically is that it only works on the opponent's turn, really at all. I mean, I guess there's a world where you could just place this with another. There are other cards that can just place this from deck, like you can with her if you want. So you can just place him and then summon him. But the bigger thing is this. I mean, listen, I love that this card in the grind seems really good. It doesn't banish itself when it leaves the field, so it just after turn is able to like come back, use itself an extender, come back, use it as extender, come back, just over and over and over again, which is really cool. But of course, you know, it only works on the opponent's turn. So turn one, or specifically, I think going second on that first turn, if this card could have worked on either's player turn, it would have felt so much stronger because it would allow you to like push into your level 12 boss monsters way, way easier. Plus he's a big body and all that stuff, but it's still a good card. You're going to definitely play this at 1 or 2 copies, I think. But it could have been a automatic 3 of if it was like during your turn as well, I think, because it just would have been an extender that helps you like play through stuff. Way more, but still a good card. Just could have been a little bit better without that kind of restriction there. Moving on, the only extract monster we have here is Centurion Lacuna. This is a level 12 light machine synchro effect monster, 35 2000, big boy. It is completely generic. Takes any tuner plus 1 or more non-tuners. That could actually come up later. The fact that this is super generic like that, for sure. 2 hard ones per turn effects on the first and third effect. If this card is special summoned, draw 1 card, then destroy the 1 face-up card your opponent controls with the highest attack, your choice, if tied. That's so good. It's non-targeting destruction. It is only the highest attack monster, which kind of is a bummer that you don't get to pick and choose what you get to destroy. But the fact that you're drawing and popping something is pretty dang nice. So I still think this card's pretty good. Really good there. I also love that this is special summon, so the deck has ways to like revive this, or I believe even like put this in the spell and trap zone and then summon it back out later, and then trigger it again just every time you want to special summon this. So it's almost like just get this card in rotation and the deck gets way better already. So very cool. Second effect, your monsters of 2000 or less attack cannot be destroyed by battle. So all of your main deck guys just can't be destroyed by battle. This is up. That's cool. That forces them to go after the 3500 monster. And then during each end phase, you can place 1 non-synchro Centurion monster from your hand or graveyard face up in your spell and trap zone as a continuous trap. That is also insanely good because it even gives you the way to kind of keep grinding, have a follow-up play, right? Just place Primera back in the spell and trap zone on the end phase, and then summon on the opponent's turn, get more searches, get more pluses, potentially make another one of your level 12 on the opponent's turn, get another pop, all that stuff. It really is quite good. I think this is a cool boss monster. I quite like it. Then we move to the spells. Starting up here, we have Stand Up Centurion. This is a field spell card. You can only use the second and third effect of this card once per turn. This card, cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects while you control a Centurion monster. That's really nice. That's really, really nice because this card is very good to keep on the field, and it just makes it harder for your opponent to deal with it. I like that this isn't just targeting, but destruction. So even if they use an effect that like tries to destroy it, you could even chain one of your girls that are in the back row to summon, and then it would be protected. That's really cool. Second effect, during your main phase, if this card was activated this turn, you can send 1 card from your hand to the graveyard as cost to place a Centurion monster from your deck face up into your spell and trap zone as a continuous trap. That's insanely good because you're just able to like, even if you just start with Trudea just go, Primera, you search the field spell, then the field spell places like Trudea, and then Trudea summons herself, then you use Trudea to like place Emmet, and then you can summon Emmet, and then summon Emmet and go into your Primera, or go into the 12th, like going second. It allows you to like do stuff way faster. It's a very good card. I think this is a starter / extender. Very, very good card for them. It doesn't read like a starter, but it is. What I like is this deck doesn't add a bunch. So Ash is really only like mid versus this deck. You just hold it for the girl, the main girl, and that's really all you're ashing here. I guess technically you could ash this effect, the effect that draws and pops. That's pretty good as well. But since the deck can like recycle this and summon it back, it's like, okay, sure. And the last effect, this one is also really good. If a monster is special summoned, you can immediately after this effect resolves, synchro summon using monsters you control, including a Centurion monster. This does not lock you out into summoning only a Centurion. You just have to use at least one Centurion for the synchro summon. So technically, you could make any 12, or if you have Trudea, a 4 and a tuner, and Primera, you can go into an 8 as well. So there may be a couple of 8s as well that are pretty cool in that design. So very, very good card. Lets you quick synchro on the opponent's turn. It gets you a card from deck, which is just a starter, and it also protects itself. That's a really, really good card in my opinion. Also a little bit bounce, because I think you can only do this the turn it was activated. So you're going to want to play multiple copies of this to be able to get it like every turn and do that place every time. Faith of Centurion. This is a quick play spell. You can only use both of its effects once per turn. Place a Centurion monster from hand or grave, face up in your spell and trap zone as a continuous trap. Cool, kind of a recovery card. Secondly, if a Centurion Synchro is special summoned to your field while this card is in grave, banish this card, then target a Centurion in grave, place it in your spell and trap zone as a continuous trap. That's fine. Okay. I mean, you can use both in the same turn, so you could even like set this, like place one back from grave to be able to summon and use to get into the synchro, and then that would like trigger this card to get itself, or to get you a card, one of your monsters put back. It's cool. It's a recovery card. I don't see this as more than a one-of, I think. This card seems to be the most underwhelming from the stuff we've seen so far, for sure. And then into the traps, we have Centurion Phalanx. This is a normal trap. You can only use one of its 2 effects once per turn. Target a face-up monster on the field, banish it, and if you do, special summon it to its owner's field during the standby of the next turn. Pretty cool. I love that this doesn't even need a Centurion monster on field. This is just a generic, decent monster removal trap. So that's cool, but also it becomes extra searchable in the deck. You can banish this card from your graveyard to target a Centurion Synchro in your graveyard. Special summon it, and if you do, it loses 1500 attack. That seems so good. Like, that's the effect I actually like more on this, because then like later in the duel you can quick banish this if you have the synchro engrave, and then just like get its draw and pop again without even having to like raw synchro summon it. So that's pretty cool. So cool, maybe a potential one of in the deck. And we also finish with Truth Centurion, a counter trap. You can only use one of this card once per turn. When a spell or trap card or monster effect is activated, send one face-up monster card from your spell and trap zone to the graveyard as cost, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. That as well could be a one-of. Whether it's in the main or the side is yet to be seen, but like I could definitely see something like evenly matched or like heavy back removal being pretty good versus this deck. So being able to have access to, if you already kind of have the setup, you draw all the 2 or 3 cards you want in your opening hand, just search this off of Primera, and then now you have a blank versus a potential blowout card is really, really nice. I love that it just has a tool like this. It may be a one-of in the main, maybe a one-of in the side, but still a cool card to see. They also highlight like Magic Planter as a potential card to see play in this deck. I'm not sure it actually will see play. It's interesting, but I'm actually not sure it will be the best way to play the deck, but it's cool. This is one of the first decks in a while that gives this card some extra legs. But all in all, I think it's a really good like resource looping grindy deck. I really think it has a lot of potential. The one card we're missing so far is a spell in between Stand Up and Faith. So I'm expecting maybe some kind of like spell extender, maybe another extra starter card. I honestly don't know, but they can do a lot with one spell card, I'll tell you that much. Plus, more support in the next 2 core sets. That obviously could bring this deck to the next level as well. I think of the 3 archetypes in this deck build pack, this one definitely has the most legs to it competitively. Maybe not right out the gate. There's a world where Memento is better than this right now. But I think the way it's designed, with future support coming out, this deck will be good at some point. Like a legit higher tier deck, for sure. At least high rogue, if not higher, tier 2 and above, we'll see. But I like it. It's right up my alley in terms of the way it wants to play. I'm excited to see what it does. I'm excited to see if it does anything in the OCG, and then I'll keep an eye on it. But it's definitely a deck I'm interested in picking up for sure. But yeah, those are just my initial thoughts there, guys. Thank you so much for watching, as always. Let me know your thoughts down below on this new archetype. Where is it for you? What do you want to see in this last spell card? What do you think they need to actually get to like legit competing status in the TCG competitively? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that stuff down below. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't. You want to stay up to date on all things Yu-Gi-Oh news. We are officially caught up on news. I will bring you anything else that drops as soon as it drops. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.